get response on the chat. Hello, Akash. Hello, Shivam, Rahul. I'm not still sure if all of you can hear me. Hi, Falak, Kaveri, Yasir. Okay, now I think you all can hear me. Yeah, welcome, Asif, Kuldeep Roy, Rashid, Chirag, Dhananjay. Good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us, all of you. Okay, Sunday evening, I'm sure you had better things to do, but then, UPSC ensures that you are always tuned into preparation, discussion of questions. Hi, Ujwal, good evening. Karan, good evening. Thank you so much. Avinash, Kakoti, Ujwal Kumar. Okay, then I'm streaming fine. I'm assuming I'm streaming fine. Hello, Hemant. Okay, there's one with us, UPSC Memewala. Okay, so Memewala, I must connect with you. What memes have you made for today's paper? Okay, we also have, wow, we have one Saddam Hussein, Manas Dubey, Patel family. The entire family is here. Nikhil, I'm so happy, Nikhil. The model answers helped you. Yes, that's right. Lot of questions. We could manage. Hello, Patel family. Okay, so everybody is preparing, I believe. Hello, Manoj. Good evening. Hi, Manika, Tabashir, Vaishnavi, Kerala Kumar, Seema, Ratre. Excellent. Avinash, thank you. Apurv sir, Avinash has a lot of good words. He says, Apurv sir ka climate change class ekdam mast tha. Okay.
Thank you so much, Avinash. Thank you so much.
Ashish, thanks a lot for acknowledging that. Banjeet. So I think we are on. You can all hear us. Okay. Amna, good evening. Pravjot Patel, Tanya. Hello. Hi, Tanya. Okay, fine. So I think all of us are online now. Thank you for joining us. With me, I have Apurv sir. Apurv sir has been part of our geography ecosystem for some time now.
Hello,
So thank you for
everybody.
joining in. Thank you for joining in, Apurv sir.
Thank you so
So
much, sir. It's a
a quick
pleasure.
question for all the audience, listeners and viewers online. आपका क्या reaction है? Paper 1 का बताओ पहले, and paper 2 will come back and we will have some conversation. So what was your reaction when you saw the paper? Good evening, Krishna Das. Okay, Krishna, I think you were our student earlier. Okay, studying from the videos, Patel. Okay, fine. What was your reaction? What was the reaction? Hello, Kusum. Hello. Kusum is from Next IAS Plus. Okay, fine. Welcome. Sarth Vagyasikya. So what's the reaction when you saw the paper? What did you feel? It was easy paper, tough paper, very different paper, doable paper, lengthy paper. What was your reaction? Section A was a bit tough. Ashi says. Chirag says from the notes, good evening. PYQ analysis is amazing. Thank you, Manika. We do try to make it as objective as possible. Okay, Patel family, I get that. आपने बार-बार यही लिखा है, I get it. You're studying from the videos on the Telegram. वो piracy कहलाता है, but ठीक है, we will not say much. Okay. A bouncer observed in the paper. Most questions were direct. 2-3 bouncers. उतना भी bouncer नहीं होगा तो कैसे होगा यार? UPSC examination है. Okay. Oh, there's some student of yours, Apurv sir, from the IAS also.
Okay.
Paper 1 was very good, attemptable, basis of class notes, Edukemy booklets, doable, very manageable. करने लायक था. Okay. Understanding was a bit difficult. Deepak. बेटा इससे आसान पेपर तो मुझे लगता नहीं है यूपीएससी विल henceforth ever frame.
सर काफी सालों से इससे आसान
I
पेपर
was
आया भी नहीं है.
It was a good paper. Compulsory was a bit difficult. Okay, Vaishnavi, I hear you. How can I assess your course? Access our course. Manika, it's very simple. Okay, go online and you can purchase the course. The moment you purchase the course, you can access all our course. Bouncer, itna nahi tha. Yes, comparatively easier. Yes, Sonia. So I agree. Okay, with most of you assessing the way you have assessed, the question paper is definitely a much more doable paper. So it is definitely on the lines which student could have prepared and appeared. So somebody unknown boy says Apur sir ke note se bhi aaya hai. Okay, very nice, which he had dedicated. Okay, Dheeraj. So what is your opinion, Apur sir? Aap bataiye. What do you think about the paper? What is your
Sir,
analysis?
sir, I think after long UPSC has been a bit lenient towards geography.
Yes.
And yes, the paper was having quite a lot of direct questions. Though there were some questions, sir, which required a bit of thinking. They were not so direct and were basically from the applied part. But what I feel is, sir, कि अगर हम पिछले 5 to 6 years में देखते हैं from the last 5 to 6 years, this has been possibly the most doable paper with respect to geography obstacle.
Absolutely. In fact, I have a PPT to share with all of you. Can you all tell me if you can see my screen? Can you all tell me if you can see my screen? Apur sir, मेरा screen दिखाई दे रहा है आपको?
Yes, sir, I can completely see it. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here is our quick analysis for all of you. The paper one में, the paper was, I think, a very moderate level difficulty tha, not impossible to manage.
Absolutely,
And it was a bit lengthy. Some people say, but I personally feel it was not as lengthy, not as tricky. It was a very doable paper.
It was.
If you look at the ratio of the questions, about 9 to 10 L1 questions, about 9 to 10 L2 questions, and 6, 7 L3 questions.
Questions, yes,
So
sir.
for those who are initiated for the first time, L1 questions वो होते हैं जो straight questions हैं, straight from the class notes, straight from the books, concepts that you should know, concepts that are expected of you. There's no surprise element. आप बस को पता है, you can go and memorize and you can vomit the answer on the paper. L3 questions are the higher level questions which require analysis, thinking, opinion based. L3 requires a lot of interlinkages. And the transition ones in between are the L2 type of questions. So L2 are not easy ones, but they're doable if you can manage with some amount of extended application. So my analysis is, इस बार L2, L3 question थोड़ा कम था.
कम था, yes, sir.
Last 2 years, we had almost 70-75% of questions of L2, L3 type.
L3,
This year,
yes.
we have about 60%. कुल मिला के 16, 17, 18 questions थे जो कि L2, L3 type के थे. So that way, I think the difficulty level of the paper has been much less than what it was last 2-3 years ago. And a very interesting thing I observed, Apur sir, कि
Yes,
इस
sir.
बार पेपर में अच्छा खासा क्वेश्चन पेपर 1 में भी अप्लाइड थे.
थे सर,
Applied
बिल्कुल थे,
थे
yes. Yes.
from current affairs, from environment
They were.
topics. Okay,
They were
women issue
there.
था, inequalities के topics थे. A lot
जी.
of questions based on what's happening around us, and they're deliberately
Yes.
asking those also. Recent times में कैसा है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's one of my observation. Okay, there's a lot of questions which are applied based, and one interesting thing we found was that some questions, about 10 to 12 questions, straight book से पूछा गया है.
Books,
straight
yes,
from
sir.
the books.
Yes.
Students always complain कि सर इतना कुछ पढ़ना पड़ेगा कि आप नोट्स से बोलते हो किताब. I am one who keeps on insisting that you should open up the books. The standard books हैं, not those booklets that institutes provide, but the books by Savindra Singh, by Majid Hussain, books by Dikshit, books by Khuller, the textbooks as recommended, okay, for topics related to your UN reports ke jo compilations hain. There are specialized books on Indian geography. So books aapko padhna hi padega. Without doing the books, it's impossible. You can get the hang of the concepts. And this time, couple of questions straight kitab se aaya hai. Okay. And one of which is this one. This is a question, Apoorv sir.
Yes, sir.
Question number 1B. What is ocean ranching?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
ये
sir.
वाला टॉपिक जो है सीधा सविंद्र सिंह ओशनोग्राफी से पूछा गया है. Straight from Savindra Singh Oceanography. I think it is page number 422 in Savindra Singh. What's
Right,
ocean
sir, right.
ranching? और इसमें लिखा भी है. Okay. There are trained aqua cowboys. I remember it was 2017 or 18 ke discussions mein in geography. This topic I have taught in the class. I gave notes also. Okay, but then over time I said, keep fine, maybe I'm overdoing it types. But these kind of topics tells us that kitab aapko padhna padega. They are
Bilkul, sir,
getting into
bilkul.
the books detail. Har saal
Right.
they ask something. Even the question that we had on halogenated hydrocarbons, एक बार पूछा हुआ question था, वो भी
Right,
straight
sir.
किताब से था.
Bilkul, sir,
Straight from the
bilkul.
book. Climatology kitab se, they had asked that question. So book reading is a very important part of preparation,
Sir,
is what I'm trying to insist on. Yes,
sir,
Apoorv sir.
this time they have also asked a question on deep ecology and shallow ecology. And that
Yes,
question
yes.
has directly come from geographical thought R.D. Dixit.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, they have given up the complete comparative analysis about deep ecology and shallow ecology over there.
So R.D. Dixit, geographical thought. Okay, that was a very important topic in R.D. Dixit. ये भी
Yes,
पूछा
sir.
गया question है. Deep ecology लिखा हुआ है पूरा. It's
जी,
Guyanism and the
पूरा.
rest is
Yes, sir.
mentioned there.
Everything is written. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Shantanu, you are right. Yes, Anshuman, I remember. Dimple Madam has also taught ocean ranching. So, so kitab aapko padhna padega. That is one of the understanding that we have. And I would specially try to focus on what I said about the scope of creativity.
Yes.
Now see what happens, Apoorv sir, कि हम
Sir.
लोग जब generally पढ़ते हैं या answer लिखते हैं, the
जी, sir.
focus generally is that let us write the answer and fill up 2 pages.
Yes,
Let
yes,
us write the
absolutely.
answer and have 2 or 3 points to write on.
Yes.
तो आप बता दो क्या points लिखें. अगर 2-3-4 point हो गया, एक diagram हो गया, the answer is done. We
Yes,
don't
yes,
realize one
absolutely.
important fact is that this examination is a competition. You have to do
Yes.
better than the others.
Absolutely.
If others
absolutely.
write 4 point, आपने भी लिखा 4 point, okay, then some element
You'll get
of
the-
luck creeps in.
Yes. Then you'll get the average marks only.
Average marks. And when the paper is difficult, तब तो only focus होता है यार मैं कुछ लिख डालूं.
Yes, exactly.
Like, when the paper is tough questions, the only focus is if I can write half a page also, I'm fine with it.
Yes, yes.
But this paper, where the questions are very much doable questions,
Yes.
it demands that you have to write the answer in a bit more creative way.
Yeah, absolutely. Sir.
A
absolutely.
bit more scope to show that you know the answers in a bit more detail.
Yes, yes.
You must create conditions where you can flaunt your geography understanding.
Yes.
Like, आपको
yes.
दिखाना पड़ेगा कि geography आपको पता है, आप relate कर सकते हैं. So ये पेपर में इसका बहुत ज्यादा स्कोप था.
बिल्कुल था सर, बिल्कुल था. Absolutely.
In fact, I was counting. I said that 22 questions out of 28 questions which had applied basis. Okay.
Right.
So example के through applied, map के through applied, data के साथ applied. इसमें इस interpretation का काफी creative scope था.
Right.
So that way, I think this paper is very scoring paper if you can do some tweaking. That's my analysis. Okay. Anything else you want to add to this? Apoorv sir, please feel free.
Sir, I am also of the same opinion that possibly this paper was, it had a lot of scope to improvise, basically. So if the students want to score better marks, then I guess improvisation will be a bit, it is the trick in this paper, because the paper was not hard. and the good students will actually find something, some interlinkages or examples, etc. that can that can give them a scope of getting better marks in this paper. पहले तो सर क्या हो रहा था ना, पेपर में
Yes.
बच्चा बस लिख दे आंसर, वही बहुत ज्यादा बड़ी बात हो रही थी. इस बार ऐसा नहीं है. इस बार बच्चा लिख भी सकता है और अपनी तरफ से थोड़ा सोच भी सकता है कि वो अपने आंसर में कैसे वैल्यू एडिशन और ज्यादा कर सकता है. So this is
Yes.
one thing that is different in this paper, surely.
Yes, yes. And the questions demand कि कुछ हद तक you can also interpret the questions in a different way. Okay, you can
Yes.
interpret the questions in an interesting way also.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So this was Apoorv sir. We lost your video.
Sir, I'm here only. I'm really sorry. My battery was running out, so I'm just putting it on charge, and I guess I'll be back.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
can you
please,
see?
please.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
please.
putting it on a charge. Yes, sir. Yes,
Perfectly
sir.
fine. Perfectly fine.
Yes.
Okay, then. So that's analysis, and all dear viewers and listeners, to tell you that we have been fairly successful in ensuring that हमारे enrichment course से, हमारे MSP program से, quite a few questions have been asked. In fact, except for one question, the question which was related to anticyclones and the question on ocean drenching, ये दो question छोड़ देने से, all the questions are a part of our bank. हमने बच्चों को लिखाया है, practice करवाया है. So we are starting the geography enrichment course from 30th of September, the first session where we'll have some orientation. The classes will start from the 3rd of October. You all are welcome to join us. And in this course, we will have live classes, we'll have practice tests, we'll have sectional tests, full length test. Okay, in totality, we have almost 20 tests, including practice test, sectional test. We'll start in the month of October, and we'll wind up all of this by January end and Feb. And God's grace, we have got very nice reviews on the program. Okay, from Nitin, from Preksha, from Shubham. So please feel free to join us or ask us about whatever doubts you may have. So that's about our enrichment program starting from October 1st week. September 30th is the first section. Okay, so fine. That was our short commercial break. Now let's get back into our discussion. So here we're starting off the discussion one by one. The first question, what is geostrophic wind? Explain the relationship between barometric slopes and air circulation. This, I believe, is a straight L1 type of question. Straight hai.
Absolutely.
Barometric slope का मतलब होता है pressure gradient force.
Yes.
And the relationship of pressure gradient force with the Coriolis force, how the winds have turned completely westerly, how the winds in the upper troposphere are circumscribing the globe from west towards east at all latitudes. आपको वही समझाना था. Now, those of you who knew a bit more, the creativity in this was that you could talk about tropical cyclones also as an example of geostrophic wind with a component of centripetal force. That's what we call as the gradient winds.
Yes, yes.
So if you
yes,
know about this one, a straight question tha, it should have been a good scoring question. Geostrophic winds.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. The only point was if you understood the word barometric slopes, which are essentially
yes,
the pressure gradient
yes.
force, difference between the high pressure and the low pressure. Straight question tha.
Yes.
Question number 2, what is ocean drenching and how are aqua cowboys related to such activities? Ranching the word hai, it's like large scale farming that is done in parts of the US, parts of Australia. They call those the sheep stations. They keep cows, cattle, they keep sheep on the land. Ocean ranching essentially means again large scale farming in the oceans. And when you say farming, you're trying to grow some species in the natural habitat. Okay, you could be growing corals, you could be growing oysters, you could be rearing dolphins, porpoises. Okay, you could be growing even prawns or shrimps. That's called as ocean ranching. Okay, and this is a topic as told, it is straight away from Savindra Singh itself. And how are the aqua boys related to such activities? The aqua cowboys, they essentially are the local people, the divers, खासकर dive economy बहुत important है. Okay,
Right,
where
sir,
they
right,
go
right.
out, maintain the water conditions, They ensure that the environment is protected. They ensure that there's no pollution. They ensure that the right time of harvesting is there when they're actually fishing. So aqua
Right.
cowboys are something like your landed cowboys, parts of the American ranches. इसमें एक discussion बहुत अच्छा हो सकता था if you could add the creativity around the concept of blue economy. In fact, there are 2-3 questions on the blue
Yes,
economy.
on blue economy, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, so ocean ranching is part of that commercial
Blue economy.
use of the oceans as a
Yes.
part of the resources, including the fishing, including say coral reefs-based economy, including farming like oysters and the rest. So that's ocean ranching. A straight question hai. I will not go deep into this. The next question: explain the natural processes of soil enrichment and its impact on food production. Now, this I think was a tricky question.
It
Some
was,
of
sir.
you
It
can
was. Yes,
classify,
yes, yes.
yeah, some of you can classify this L2 question, or others can classify this as an L3
Tell
question.
three question.
इसमें question बहुत straight है. Explain the natural processes of soil enrichment. It is not asking what are the natural processes of soil formation.
Yes.
मुझे लग रहा है ज्यादातर इससे बच्चे लेके आ जाएंगे पोर्टलाइजेशन, लेटराइजेशन, कैल्सिफिकेशन, ग्लेइफिकेशन, आप वो सारा लिख के आ जाएंगे. इसमें क्वेश्चन है टेल अस हाउ द सॉइल्स आर एनरिच्ड, the soil processes that enrich. So the listing of terms should have been the process of nitrification,
Yes.
the
Yes.
process of humification, the process of mineralization, the process of weathering, sedimentation, and deposition, the process like accumulation of of phosphates, accumulation of sulfates, the process where the soil texture becomes fine because of biological processes like earthworms are churning the soil. This is natural processes related to soil enrichment, how the
Yes.
soil becomes more enriched in terms of your micro minerals, in terms of nitrogen, in terms of organic content, in terms of the fine textured soil, clay, silt, and so on. You had to focus
Yes.
on that
Yes. Yes.
and its impact on food production. So iska na do part hai. One part is the impact on food production, which is positive. So nitrogen, positive, sulfur, positive, calcium, positive, humus, also positive. There's a positive aspect of plant growth. Nitrogen helps in strengthening of the leaves, photosynthesis. Lime makes the fiber content more strong.
Yes.
Without lime, the plants will start wilting. The role of phosphorus again is it makes the photosynthesis more possible. Phosphates ka role growth of the roots hai, cell division pe hai. So this is one aspect. Now there's one more dimension which, if you were smart, you could have mentioned it. That soil enrichment also includes eutrophication.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that is an enhanced enrichment of nitrates and phosphates as a consequence of pollution. Actually वो natural
Yes.
नहीं है, but you always add that this also is type of enrichment which is actually because of the problems in the agriculture
Yes.
processes, and uska impact negative hai. So the trick was that, and of course, absolutely, once you understood the natural process, the creativity in the answer could have been that you can talk about zero tillage. Okay, not simply zero budget natural farming. You can talk about zero tillage, where
Right,
without
sir.
plowing artificially, you allow for the bacteria, you allow for the soil to enrich on its own. Okay, so that's one type of natural farming.
Yes.
So question number 1C, L2, L3 type hai, but if you had done a bit of thinking, this was a very good question to answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was.
Yes,
It was.
correct, absolutely, Rashid. Role of microbes. That's what I meant by humification and mineralization. Fly ash, for heaven's sake, Alok. Fly ash is a pollutant. Fly ash is toxic. Okay, fly ash is sometimes heavy metals. It's poor. No, enrichment is not in the arsenic pollutants की बात नहीं की जा रही.
Right.
वो
Right.
land में रखेंगे आप. The positive part and the negative okay, which is more in terms of eutrophication. Okay, fine.
Right.
Natural process, Anmol, natural process of enrichment. Yeah, let's move on. The next question is 1D. Apurv sir, will you try to
Yes, sir.
discuss this, please? Yeah,
Yes,
please.
sir, sure.
With honors,
Sir, this
please.
question basically asks us about the difference between deep ecology and shallow ecology as a concept. So,
Yeah.
sir, basically in this question, we had to firstly tell UPSC or tell the examiner that both these concepts are related with environmental conservation. Though
Yes.
the motive of environmental conservation in both these concepts is a bit different. Deep ecology, sir, is more of a philosophical approach, whereas shallow ecology is more of a technocratic and a capitalistic approach towards environmental conservation. If we could have used those terms, they would have given a good impression towards the examiner. Where deep ecology, sir, basically focuses upon the part that humans themselves are an intrinsic part of nature. And as components of nature, they should try to, conserve the environment. Because the nature is our home. So, like we try to protect our home, we should also try to protect the nature as a whole. Whereas shallow ecology only looks into the capitalistic aspect of environmental conservation and says that humans should only try to conserve environment until and unless the environment is beneficial to us economically. So, sir, shallow ecology is more of a self-centered approach and deep ecology is more of a selfless approach.
Yes,
So
Pankaj,
these,
you are right. Gaianism is deep ecology, but you
yes,
must
Gaianism is deep.
differentiate with shallow ecology. Yes, Apurv,
Yes,
I agreed. So shallow ecology essentially is about environmental management as long as environment is beneficial for man.
for us. Yes, sir.
It's an
Absolutely. Absolutely.
anthropocentric approach. Like
Yes, it
sir
is an
said, it is a
anthropocentric
technocentric approach.
approach.
It is
Yes.
a utilitarian concept. You
Yes.
conserve as
Yes.
long as it benefits you.
Yes.
Deep
Absolutely, sir.
ecology is conserving of conservation of the earth because earth
It
is
is
a
our home.
unique one. There are
Yes. Yes.
interlinkages. Deep ecology is not about human being and their benefits.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's why it's a philosophical level.
And
Yes,
sir,
yes,
one
Pankaj. Yes.
one
Yeah.
value addition, one creativity that we could have shown in this question is in deep ecology, we could have given an example as to how the rural population has a perspective towards nature, and in shallow ecology, how the urban population has a perspective towards nature.
Yes,
So there
yes.
is,
So the traditional societies,
yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
tribal societies, rural ecosystems, how they
Yes.
are the
Like they
concept of
are,
sacred grooves, the
yes,
concept
absolutely,
of
sir.
sacred grooves.
Sacred groves can be introduced in this. Absolutely, sir.
Yes, yes,
In deep
yes,
ecology, and
Rashid, correct. Shallow ecology का ही एक variant है sustainable development.
absolutely,
Okay,
sir.
deep
Absolutely,
ecology
yes.
is in one extreme. It's a ecocentric approach. एक बहुत extreme है.
जी,
Okay,
जी, जी.
so that's not what we want to promote. But shallow ecology is what we are promoting. You're right, Rashid. You're right. Yes, 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 Vishal. Okay, thank you, sir. We move on now. The
Yes, sir.
next
Yes, sir.
is
Please.
what are the environmental implications of economic geology?
Geology.
That's a very straight question.
Yes, sir. It is.
This is L1 question. Economic geology का चार examples हैं. Economic geology construction, economic geology and mining,
Yes.
economic geology in terms of your urban development. Okay, and you can also talk about economic geology from the perspective of your resource prospecting, not
Yes.
simply
Yes.
mining directly. Even the resource
But also
prospecting
perspective.
is okay.
Yes.
और उसके environment implication क्या है? Land scarification, slope modification, landslides होते हैं, deforestation है, pollution है, contamination. You also have subsidence problems. You have reservoir induced seismicity if the geology is considered only in terms of dam construction. ये बहुत ही simple question है. I don't think I must discuss much on this. What you can always add here is examples in whatever you are saying. So take up example of Uttaranchal. You talk about Joshimat. You could talk about problems in Jharkhand where we have coal mines, deforestation in parts of Chhattisgarh because of coal mines again. So I think it's a straight question. I'll let it go.
Yes, sir. It is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is more
Let's
of a
move
GS
on.
question, sir. It is more of a GS question, to be exact.
Yes.
If
Example
we,
के साथ you could have made interesting.
yes,
Okay, question
absolutely,
number 2A. Evidences from paleomagnetism and seafloor spreading have validated that continents and ocean basins have never been stationary. You know what, Apurv sir? ये सवाल
yes, sir.
हमने क्लास में ऐसे ही डिस्कस किया है कि
Yeah,
how is seafloor spreading an evidence of continental drift?
continental drift. Yes, sir.
How
Yes,
it
sir.
is an
Absolutely.
evidence of crustal instability?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so
absolutely,
एकदम
sir.
straight question. मैं तो कहूँगा ये L1 question है. इसका एक model answer भी we have given to the students. So
Yes, sir.
5 example evidences हैं. Okay, number 1 is you all know about the trenches. That's an example of subduction.
Yes,
Accretionary prism and the crushed rocks near the trenches. Okay. Third is the increasing age of the ocean floor away from the moor. Okay.
yes,
The fourth is the reversed bands of the magnetic polarity of the ocean floor. And the fifth is volcanism itself. Okay, how the
yes,
new crust is being added at the moor.
yes.
So ekdam straight question, nothing much to add here.
Ji, ji.
How is seafloor spreading and evidence of crustal instability? You can handle
Yes,
this.
sir.
Apurv sir, ये आप बताएं. Explain the characteristics and the weather conditions associated with anticyclones, giving suitable examples. Please.
So, sir, in this anticyclones, we can start with the introduction that anticyclone is an opposite climatic condition related to a cyclone, where
Yes.
cyclone is an intensified low pressure zone and anticyclone is an intensified high pressure zone. So, the basic introduction that we need to give with respect to anticyclones. And in anticyclones, we majorly see the subsidence of air due to which a high pressure zone is created. And when a high pressure zone is created and the surrounding areas are at a low pressure, then we see divergence of air. So basically, when we are talking about anticyclones, we need to focus upon two things, are subsidence and divergence. So that will give us the introduction of anticyclones. Then they asked related to the weather conditions. So with respect to weather conditions, we can say that when divergence takes place, the clouds, etc., are deflected away from that region, and generally clear skies are observed when we have anticyclonic formations. And so then we can add that due to the clear skies during the daytime, there is an increased inflow of incoming solar radiations, and that is why the temperatures go up. And during the night time, if there are anticyclonic formations, then there is a lot of loss of heat from the surface, and that is why the temperatures go down. So basically,
So
anticyclones are
radiation
related.
losses हो जाएंगी, right?
Yes, sir. So basically, anticyclones are related with a very high daily temperature range. The daily temperature range goes up when there are anticyclones. अगर इतना लिख देते तो एग्जामिनर मेरे हिसाब से थोड़ा सा खुश हो जाता.
हाँ, कुछ क्लाउड्स पे, टेम्परेचर
Right,
पे,
sir.
रेनफॉल पे,
Rainfall पे, right, sir.
and yeah, because calm conditions, and in general कहाँ पर होता है?
Yes, sir. We can give the example of the Tibetan Plateau. We can give the example of the Sahara Desert in this case. We can even give the example of the omega blocking that we are observing in the regions
Yes,
of, because that is
parts
also
of Canada,
majorly.
North America,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay, so
Because
iska
that,
heat waves, yes, Karan, you're right. Karan Sati says yes. So blocking phenomena, heat waves of Europe are related to such anticyclones.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So yes, I think it was a good question.
और
Okay,
सर
एक
अगर
बार
इसमें
ये
थोड़ा सा ऐड करना था तो इसमें ना जब सब्सिडेंस होता है तो एसपीएम नीचे की तरफ आ जाता है और उसकी वजह से फॉग फॉर्मेशन जाती है, ये सब भी थोड़ा सा ऐड कर सकते थे. If the
फॉग्स ऐड कर
student is
सकते थे.
yes, if the student is thinking to that level, then he can definitely add the fog, etc. in this.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
yes, this was and this question was also asked in another way in 2014 also anticyclones pe.
Okay, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So my next question: how are ocean currents generated? Discuss the effect on coastal climates with special reference to Pacific Ocean. Now, if the students have been thorough with the class notes, they could have discussed this question in reference to the Ekman spiral.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was a good question to differentiate yourself from the GS type of answers.
Hmm.
The Ekman spiral, can talk about the Ekman transport. We could talk about central water mound, okay, and how the gyrations of the oceans are formed It's a very good question. Again, straight class notes में है. इसपे तो एक हमारा model answers भी है. You could have done that, and you could have related with the coastal climates of Pacific Ocean. So Kuroshio ka impact on the eastern Japan, Kwanto Plains, Tokyo.
Yes.
The impact of the cold currents on the Californian coast, okay, and the
Yes.
aridity of the west coast of US. El Nino was a very important discussion along
Yes,
with
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
Peruvian current and Atacama
Yes.
region. आप वो
Yes.
discuss कर सकते थे. Okay, and you could also have discussed the impact of Kuroshio extension, okay, and the North Pacific drift, which is a warm current along the coast of Alaska.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see, this is a problem. UPSC मेम वाला ये fishing zone जो है, it is not about coastal climate. Okay, they're not asking you general what's the impact. बहुत
Yes, sir.
specific
Yes, sir.
impact है in terms of coastal climate
Climate.
बताना है. कहाँ
जी, sir.
warm है, कहाँ cold है, कहाँ पर fogs है. Yes, and the reversal El Nino as a phenomena. Okay, and with locations, talk about the locations कहाँ पर impact होता है with a map. Now, one interesting point you could have added here is how the melting of the Arctic and Antarctic, that can impact the climate along the coasts, because
Yes, sir.
some of the currents like the west wind drift will get modified, the Bering current will get modified, the
Modified. Yes.
Oashio current gets modified.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how, because of the change of the ocean water conditions, the vertical circulations can also change. हालांकि हम अटलांटिक का ज्यादा बोलते हैं, the AMOC, okay, the Atlantic Meridional
Yes.
Ocean Circulation.
Circulation.
Okay, we don't talk about the Pacific, but Pacific ka bhi there's a vertical component. It can impact North and South Pacific's climate. Yes,
It can,
Amareshwar,
sir.
Nanda.
Yes.
See, the idea is, looking at the straight questions, you must be able to add some interesting perspective in your discussions. Now, you should be able to add something interesting, current affair based into your answers. That will help you in a better way. Okay? Okay, fine. Yes, absolutely, Pankaj. Excellent. The warm currents like Kuroshio, the Philippines current, are responsible for intensification of tropical cyclones, the
Yes.
typhoons. Excellent.
Yes,
Very
sir.
nice. That's an
Yes.
interesting dimension you could have added, Pankaj.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, okay, then let's move on. 2C is done. Let's move on towards the next one, which is question number 3A. Causes of origin of local winds,
Local winds.
and discuss their significance on the prevailing weather and climate of the various regions with examples. Again, I think it's a straight L1 question.
It is,
The
sir.
only
It is,
problem is that when you're classifying the causes of origin of local winds, आपके पास 4-5 cause पे listing होना चाहिए. Like one cause is the leeward effect and the descending winds, adiabatic
Chinooks,
warming.
sir.
That's one
Yes.
cause, Chinook
Yes,
and
sir.
Fawn.
Chinooks and fawns. Yes.
The second cause is the difference of temperature along the mountain slopes.
Yes.
Okay,
Sir.
the mountain breeze and sea breeze because of
breeze.
difference of insulation and pressure. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
one. The third origin of local winds could be local heating, such as Lu. Okay, local
Right,
heating
sir.
and Lu. Local heating and Sirocco. Local
Sirocco,
heating
yes.
and Simoons. Local heating and Khamsins. A fourth one will be, okay, the local winds because of strong local, say cooling. Think
Cooling,
of
yes, sir.
Bora winds.
Yes.
Think of Gregale winds, Bora winds along Adriatic coast, Gregale winds along the Greece,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
Meltemi winds along Turkey. So आपको ऐसे differentiate करना चाहिए था, causes of origin. And don't forget कि sea breeze and land breeze are also examples of local winds because of differential heating of land and water.
Yes.
So leeward effect is a factor. Okay, local heating is a factor. Difference of heating day and night conditions, that's a factor.
Okay.
Land water differential heating is a factor. और सबका example बताते हुए you could have elaborated. So I think while students know this concept, the problem will be how they organized the points
sir.
in this answer. That could have been a challenge. Anything you want to add, Apursa, to this, what I have discussed?
Sir, I think the students, if they know the concept of different local winds, then by giving examples, they can substantiate the concept.
Yes.
Like they can give
Yes.
the example of sea breeze and land breeze, and then they can say that this is due to the differential heating of land and water.
Yes.
They can give the example of Chinooks, and then they can say that this is due to the adiabatic heating.
So they had to know the
So,
examples with
yes, yes.
locations where possible.
So they should actually know the exact concept of every local wind.
तानिया बताओ, आप पूछ रहे हो cold warm fronts can cause. Give me example of a local wind because of cold warm fronts. Let's see. पटेल बताओ, Coriolis force कौन से local wind को impact करता है? Don't just ask me. You should know the answer. Is asking origin of local winds. Give me an example of Coriolis force and local wind. I don't have an example. तानिया आप बताओ, कोई जानते हो cold front, warm front से okay, blood rains consequence है. Blood rains का reason क्या है बताओ? It is the winds coming from the Sahara. So essentially local heating के वजह से and the high pressure systems pushing the winds outward. So don't just give me examples of names of winds. Relate the winds to causal factors. Vishal, Patel family, Tanya Singh, Swaroop, okay, Sudhanshu. Factors important hai. What are the causal factors? That's where this question will trap you. Okay, you know about upwelling as example. बताओ राशिद, upwelling के वजह से कौन सा local wind आप जानते हैं? आप बताइए. मैंने आप क्वेश्चन समझ ही नहीं पा रहे हो. क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है cause बताओ. आप बस factors बता रहे हो. You're not relating it with. Okay. SP, Karan, Patel family, you must join the proper course. ये जो आप YouTube वीडियो देखते हो ना, इसी में प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. Okay, I invite you join the proper course. Okay, piracy वाला वीडियो मत देखो, उससे पाप लगता है. प्रॉपर फीस दे के ज्वाइन करो. हमारा भी आशीर्वाद रहेगा और भगवान का भी आशीर्वाद रहेगा. Okay, so Patel family, your answer tells me कि आप okay, YouTube और WhatsApp से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं. Let's get back. ये आप कुछ कह रहे थे पूर्ण सर, I'm so sorry.
नहीं सर, I was just saying कि स्टूडेंट्स के दिमाग में ना सर वो कंडीशनिंग ही वैसी होती है एग्जामिनेशन सेंटर में कि बस लोकल विंड पढ़ा और लोकल विंड के बारे में जो कुछ भी है वो लिखना शुरू कर दिया. They don't actually read the question very well कि what the UPSC is actually demanding from the question.
Yes, yes. Okay. You are right. Okay. Chinook is because of upwelling. Santosh. Okay, आपके घर में घुस के पढ़ाना पड़ेगा आपको. Okay. आजकल टाइम है, घर में घुस के मार के आते हैं, बट आपके यहाँ पर घर में घुस के पढ़ाना पड़ेगा आपको. If Chinook is because of upwelling, okay, Santosh, you and I will talk about this later on. Come back. 3B. Define peneplains. Describe the landscape feature associated with peneplains under different geomorphic cycles. Right. Okay. Define peneplains. 4 point hai. Flat, near the base level, concavo, convex, okay, profile, shallow valleys, along with scattered resistant rocks called as monadnocks. And they are the product of the last stage of cycle, the product of river erosions. तो आप वो ऐड कर सकते हैं. And maybe a few lines on compare it with peneplains if you can. Yes, sir. ठीक है. So peneplains define कर लेंगे आप लोग, not a problem. Now come to describe the landscape associated with peneplains under different geomorphic cycles. इसमें ना, this is the trick part of this question. इसका trick part ये है कि different geomorphic cycles में आप 3 cycle की बात कर. Talk about 3. One is the normal cycle. Normal cycle में feature क्या है? Flat, almost flat, gentle convexo-concave profile near the base level, sluggish rivers, meandering rivers, monad knocks, shallow rivers but wide rivers. Okay, so that is your normal cycle. Normal cycle, yes, sir. Yes. The second is the peneplain of a second cycle of erosion. Usme you will have nick points. In that you will have rejuvenation features. You'll have incised meanders, entrenched meanders. Yes. Usme you might even have nick point waterfalls also. Yes. What we call as the landforms okay, of rejuvenation. Okay, आप वो लिखेंगे. And the third is, okay, the shortened cycle where there is submergence of the peneplain. They are submerged peneplains overlain by deposits. The peneplains are under the water. Okay, वो जब बाद में upliftment होगा, they can get exhumed. So normal cycle का peneplain कैसा होता है? Okay, negative base level change का कैसा होता है? And positive essentially submerged hota hai, submerged under water and overlain by sediments brought from the land. So I think this was the trick part of this question.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Different geomorphic cycles में बताना चाहिए था आपको. Okay, and the number of peneplains also tell us about the number of cycles of upliftment. Okay, where we can have nick points and a new peneplain formed, a nick point and a new peneplain formed. Okay, so those I think some of you may have missed. Okay, so that's 3B. Let's move on. 3C. What are the factors affecting regional ecological changes and how these affect human health? Now, see, this question is an example of do not blindly write environmental degradation. You have to write about affecting regional ecological changes. What are the factors? So what are the factors? You have to use ecosystem language, use ecology wala language, which is like factors like, okay, compromised primary trophic level, like deforestation, compromised habitats, okay, change in the biodiversity, alpha, beta biodiversity, change in the natural food webs, simplification of the natural food webs. Okay, maybe elimination of the highest order predators who are the keystone species.
Right.
Extinction of foundation species. Okay, how ecological niche are simplified. आपको लिखना था what are the factors that affect regional ecological changes. So write this in terms of okay, ecosystem ecology language. The factors are, I said, like ecological niche change, simplification of the food web, removal of keystone species, habitat simplification, removal of the primary producers and the primary trophic levels. And these are related to human activities, agriculture, related to deforestation, related to mining, related to domestication, related to climate change. This was a very interesting question. The answer should not look like you're writing on environmental degradation directly. आपको लिखना था ecological changes के बारे में बताओ and the factors associated. And the next part, how do these affect human health? Now, human health ka impact, because it's about ecological changes, you could have related this with ecosystem services. Okay, the provisioning services are impacted, the food aspect gets impacted. The regulating services get impacted, so water availability gets impacted and how that impacts human being. Okay. We have the supporting services getting impacted, impact soil formation, impact your pollination types, again, hunger, food security. Okay, because of loss of your cultural functions, okay, we can have impact on alienation, impact in terms of displacement. Think of forest loss and what it does to tribes, loss of forest and what it does to the livelihood. So, teen word direct hai, how it impacts human health in terms of health issues, food security, in terms of mental health, and absolutely do add one paragraph how ecological changes can cause epidemics, how ecological changes can cause pandemic. So Ebola virus, Nipah virus, Zika virus, SARS and MERS, and probably COVID also because of loss of forest and deforestation. This was an example of how it impacts human health. Yes, Gaurav, you can add that. Ecological changes also because of introduction of your genetic engineering and modified organisms,
Yes,
GMOs.
elements, yes,
Yes, you can add that, absolutely.
yes.
Okay. So I hope you understood the focus of this particular question. What we mean by इसके examples देना आप लोग. Examples of maybe parts of coastal areas, examples of tribal areas of the hill regions, examples related to how it has impacted, the pandemic times. Okay, that was your question here. Question number 3.
Yes.
Okay, we move on. Next one is question number 4. Give an account of marine resources and their economic significance, and how has marine pollution affected such resources. Apoorv sir, can I request you please on this?
Yes, sir. Sir, in this question, the first part, that is given account of marine resources and their economic significance, was more of a straightforward question,
Yes.
where we simply need to, explain what marine resources are and how they help the coastal economy. And in this, we, again, as we were saying before, that there were many questions that were related with blue economy. So in this also, we can relate this marine resources question with the blue economy thing.
Yes.
But sir,
Yes.
in this, the tricky part was how has marine pollution affected such resources? Now, sir, in this part, it is not advisable that we go by a generalized approach, because there are
Okay.
specific marine resources that are affected by marine pollution. Like, for example, sir, if we talk about oil and gas, then oil and gas is not affected by marine pollution. It is basically the fish, the coral reefs, and the littoral ecosystems such as mangroves, etc., which are more, you can say, affected by marine pollution. So in this, it was important for us to target that only which resources are affected by marine pollution, and we have to just elaborate about that. Like, we can give an example related to microplastics and how it is affecting the fish distribution across the world. We can talk about oil spills and how oil spills are also affecting the fish population. We can add sedimentation and how it is affecting the health of the coral reefs across the world. So all these things, sir, were to be targeted in this question majorly. So students had a lot to write in this question. They could have given a complete description about the marine resources, their significance for coastal economy, relating it with the blue economy, and the focus of India with respect to blue economy at present times. They could have even said, if they wanted to give a lot of elaboration, they could have even connected it with the Sagarmala project and the blue economy program of the Indian government. And then in marine pollution, they had to be very specific and would have targeted upon fisheries, coral reefs.
In
and
fact,
the,
ये 20 mark का question था. They had to be detailed.
yes, they had to be detailed. Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
yes, you are right, Kanika. Ocean acidification impacting coral reefs,
Absolutely.
discharge impacting coral reefs, correct? The dead zones of the oceans, absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
Pacific garbage patch.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
All these
point ये
examples could
सर
have
जो
been.
कहना चाह रहे हैं कि do not write all marine pollution in general. Okay, tell us how
Yes,
the
yes.
marine pollution impacts resources. तो यहाँ
Sir,
पर
how the
biotic
specific
resource.
resources, sir, how
Yes,
specific resources are impacted by marine pollution, basically. Yes.
correct. So coral
Yes,
reef
sir.
resources, mangrove resources, littoral resources, and the shipping lanes. Okay, and
Yes.
the biotic in terms of your fishing resources.
Fishing
Yeah,
resources.
deep
Yes, sir.
mining, sedimentation, even that causes the impact on
Yes.
deep ocean life forms.
Or
Correct.
organisms. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay, I think you've got the essence here. So next question is differentiate between the characteristics of organic horizons and mineral horizons in a generalized soil profile.
Profile. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
So, sir,
think
in this,
ये थोड़ा सा L2, if not L3, L2 level का question है. It's
sir,
not a
इसमें भी
straight
बस,
question on what are the horizons.
yes, yes, yes. Again, sir, it had to be, it had to had a bit of a specific approach. मतलब ये तो सब लोग लिख देंगे कि सॉइल प्रोफाइल क्या होता है, उसमें कौन कौन से होराइजन्स होते हैं, OABC, everything will be written by the students. But the specific question was asked with respect to the differences between the organic horizon, that is horizon O, and the mineral horizons, that is horizon A, basically.
Yes.
So basically, sir, in this, we had to, focus upon 3 or 4 major points. Like if we are comparing horizon O and horizon A, the color of the horizons is a bit different. Like horizon O, since it has more of organic content, it is more darker in color. Since
Yes.
horizon O is having organic content, it has a higher pH value. The basicity is higher. The texture is a bit sticky. And then definitely, as the name suggests, in the organic horizon, there will be more of organic material. And in mineral horizon, there will be more of deposition and the minerals that are, part of the parent rock. So basically, sir, इसमें हम introduction में ये लिख देंगे कि soil profile क्या है? What do they actually mean by organic horizons and mineral horizons? And then in the actual body of the answers, we will give these 4 differentiating factors, that how color, pH value, texture, etc. Differentiate the organic horizon from the mineral horizons. And then, sir, a good thing, a value addition that can be done in this question is by giving specific examples of soils.
Yes, absolutely.
That would have struck less number of students, but I feel that if we would have given specific examples of soils, like we could have compared to completely contrasting soils like chernozems and oxysols,
Yes.
then that would have been a perfect answer for the examiner, where chernozems are more inclined towards the organic content, and the oxysols are basically leached and are having no horizon O, and are, completely opposite to what the characteristics of chernozems are.
Yes, I think you have discussed it brilliantly, Abur sir. This is not a question which is straight what are horizons.
Exactly, sir.
इसमें बोल
Exactly.
रहा है कि दो horizon को आप differentiate करो, differences
बिल्कुल
बताओ. The
बिल्कुल sir,
organic
बिल्कुल.
horizon जो O layer है and the mineral वाला जो है A, B, C है, उसमें differentiate
Yes, sir.
करो. The
Right, sir.
color,
Right.
the pH value, the composition, the texture, you must differentiate.
Right, sir.
My guess, most of them would have got this question wrong. Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
my guess, most of them would not have given examples. इसमें अच्छा था अगर आप उठा लेते chernozems and have written about it. You could have
Yes,
taken
yes,
up maybe the soil, the oxysols, the
sir. Yes,
tropical
sir.
forest ka, and discuss
Yes, sir.
through examples. Example wala missing hoga. This
ये
I
बिल्कुल
think
sir.
was the trickiest question of section A. लगता है
It
हो
was, sir.
जाएगा, लिखने बैठेंगे आप गलत लिख के आ जाएंगे. Okay, so okay, let's move on. Question number 4C.
Yes,
How does
yes, sir.
inversion of temperature occur and is significance on local weather with examples?
Fruitful
Again, a
example.
very straight question. How
Yes,
does
sir.
inversion occur? A radiation inversion, advection inversion, inversion because of mechanical condition, inversion because of frontal interaction, because of local
Yes.
winds. Okay, in dry conditions of the desert, long winter nights, absence of clouds, less moisture. A straight question. Tha. How it impacts local weather? We can talk about mist, fog formations.
Oh,
We can talk
yes, sir.
about smog formation in
Yes,
urban
sir. Yes, sir.
areas.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it impacts agriculture. It impacts frost bites in the lower slopes in the
Yes.
nights.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, this is straight from the books. Savindra Singh किताब में direct हमारे notes में भी है.
बिल्कुल
I'm
sir.
happy to say some of these questions we have given as model answers for students to write down directly, memorize, write down. So benefit for all our viewers here. So we have this program coming up. I'll suggest you must all look up our program called as the enrichment program. Starting from 30th September, the classes will commence from the 3rd of October. You'll have tests, classes, practice sessions, a sectional test. ये सब इसका part है. So you're all free to consider. We have had considerable success from this. In fact, bearing 2 questions, paper 1 में सारे questions are what we have discussed. Okay, so this is a flagship program we have for the students here. So do consider if you want to inquire. call up our counselors. Okay. So let's continue. Like I said, was a small commercial break. And now we get back to our conversations. So here it is. The next is question number 5, section B.
Yes,
section B again, unlike the previous year's fairly doable question, the pehla question to straight is from what we had discussed in the last test series we had. How is areal differentiation a fundamental concept in human geography? This particular question has been repeated 4 times now. Areal differentiation, regional studies as a crux, synthesis as a focus area. ये अलग अलग तरीके से 4 बार पूछा हुआ question है, and we have discussed this also through model answer. So I have not discussed. I just move on. The fundamental concept. I'm moving on here. Question number 5B: food and nutrition problems associated with the developing world. Again, a straight question on hunger and malnutrition. एकदम basic है. Protein energy malnutrition. Okay, there is something called as vitamin A deficiency, iodine deficiency disorder (IDD), and vitamin A deficiency (VAD). ये 4 main है. Okay, and it impacts girls, young children, stunting, wasting. There is an answer on this global pattern कैसा है इंडिया में, साउथ एशिया में. Okay, FAO का report है, state of hunger report. Right. So no trick, straight question. Developing worlds. हाँ, इसमें आप ये add कर सकते हैं that the reasons are different. The reasons can be conflict as reasons, droughts as reasons, disruptions of supply chains as reasons because of climate change. Reasons could be cultural factors like girl children का क्या है. So वो एक table में डाल सकते हैं if you wanted to add it. Okay, so fine. So this also you can handle 5B. Let's move on. 5C. Now 5C, human migration is a reflection of balance between push and pull factors. Elaborate with reference to most recent diaspora. It's a very interesting question. It is. In fact, these are the type of questions you should write and excel in. Apoor sir, can you please take this up?
Sir, yes, sir. In this question, I feel is that they are wanting to ask us that as to how both push and pull factors when acting simultaneously are responsible for migration. Because what happens is that we generally try to study the push factors separately and the pull factors separately.
Yeah.
But what happens is that when actually the migration takes place, it is the simultaneous action of both push and pull factors that is responsible for migration. Because the psychological factors comes in, and what happens is that humans tend to have a certain inertia, and not only due to the pull factors, they are tempted to go to a certain place. And then there are many you can say psychological barriers that come when we are talking about migration also, like the distance matters. Distance is a very important thing when they are looking into migrations. If they are having a cross-cultural migration, then they are relatively tempted not to have a cross-cultural migration. And then, sir, the one important thing that we need to focus in this is that push and pull factors are perceived differently by every individual.
Yes.
What can be a push factor for me can be a pull factor for you, and vice versa is also true.
Yes.
And sir, even with time, the push and pull factors keep on changing. Like, sir, one very important example that we can give in this is that after COVID, there has been a certain change in the psychology of the people. Before COVID, it was only about earning money. But now people are more inclined towards having a mental peace and having a more, you can say, peaceful life.
Yeah.
So initially, the bigger cities, the tier 1 cities were pulling people towards themselves. But now there have been scenarios where people are showing counter migrations from tier 1 cities to tier 2 and tier 3 cities in search of a more peaceful life.
Yes.
So first, the organization would have been somewhat like this. First, we needed to explain what actually push and pull factors are. Then we needed to explain what are the characteristics of these push and pull factors, how they keep on changing with time. And then we can explain that how when push and pull factors are acting simultaneously, then migration.
I think that is the most important part.
Yes.
In this question, in this question, there are two trick sections. One
Yes, sir.
is
Yes, sir.
focusing on the balance part.
Exactly. Exactly. That is what
Most
UPSC
students
asks.
will write down a list of push factors, a list of pull
Yes.
factors.
Yes.
They will
Yes.
forget that the topic is asking you that the balance is important. That push and pull on its own will not act till they're balanced. There is a
Yes.
push factor
Absolutely.
going on and a pull factor, then it starts operating.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
the
Yes.
equilibrium thing
Absolutely.
of it. तो वो miss करेंगे.
Yes.
Second is, most of them will not write in reference to diaspora.
Yes.
Okay,
And so
the
that is
migration from Bihar, UP to Middle East, the
yes.
migration
Yes.
of Keralites to Middle East, the
Middle East.
migration of
Yes.
Andhra, Tamil Nadu population to US,
To US.
the
Yes. Yes.
migrations of lot of urban population like Northwest May into Canada,
Canada.
the
Yes. Yes, sir.
migrations, okay, of urban population, education into UK and Australia.
Yes. Europe. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So ये जो diaspora के reference में, okay, you have to write, and importantly, this is not an India specific question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Absolutely.
it is for any country, the Chinese diaspora, okay, the Indian diaspora, the African diaspora. ये दो तीन reference आना चाहिए था.
बिल्कुल sir, बिल्कुल.
So I think while the words are familiar, push pull factor familiar word
Yes,
है,
yes.
आप balance miss कर जाएंगे, and you will miss out in reference to diaspora from different countries.
Countries, yes sir. Basically sir,
मैं
इसमें
यहाँ पर पता
students.
है अपूर्व सर, मैं यहाँ पर चैट
Sir,
देख रहा हूँ.
जी
Okay,
sir.
exactly यही problem है. Dheeraj says cause of push pull factor. Shweta says satisfaction piece being family members. Rashid says place less origin less attractive and destination is more attractive. Okay, कोई भी balance word को उठा ही नहीं पा रहा है.
जी 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 सर.
कोई नहीं उठा रहा.
वही ट्रिक डाला
Okay,
था सर यूपीएससी
और
टेस्ट में.
डायस्पोरा में okay, कोई उसके बारे में बात ही नहीं कर रहा.
Right,
डायस्पोरा
right,
के रेफरेंस में लिखना है,
right.
and not just Indian diaspora.
Any diaspora.
Okay? Yes. Yes. And then of course, okay, the perception angle, how it impacts. Okay, so I think this was a trick question. Most will get it wrong or overconfident कुछ और लिख के आ जाएंगे. Okay, fine. Let's move on then. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The next question is, has Malthusian theory been discredited in contemporary times? Essentially asking you, in some ways, okay, tell us what are the limitations of Malthusian theory and what are the merits or the wisdom. So has it been discredited? Yes, in some ways.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Because वो जो collapse वाला concept था, positive checks, okay, will operate definitely. That man is like a biological being, multiply in 25 years. There is no solution but the inevitability of death and hunger. That we will multiply geometrically. Food can't grow. So yes, वो सब गलत हो गया. But एक wisdom dimension है, which is not wrong.
Yes,
the wisdom is
sir.
the new Malthusian concept.
Yes.
Okay. The limits to growth in terms of ecosystems are collapsing. Okay.
Yes.
There are problems of pandemics. There are problems of hunger. So has it been discredited? In wisdom, no. But maybe the exactness of the terms, yes. There's an issue there. Okay. So ये बड़ा अच्छा discussion था. Yeah.
So basically the trick in this question was to keep a balance. You cannot say a yes or a no in this question.
Yes. And एक और चीज है, इस क्वेश्चन के साथ में थोड़ा कंपेयर करना चाहिए था कि it is discredited according to Marxian theory.
Yes.
It is discredited according to modern social theories.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But it is still valid if you look at the concept of stop and go determinism.
Yes.
It is still valid because we have seen this operate in sustainable development concept.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think that was a trick. So question of C, 5C and 5D, both are tricky questions. Okay.
Both are,
and like I said, a lot of scope for innovations here.
Innovations, yes.
Our creative approach was more important. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, fine. Yeah, Gaurav. Yes. Yes, Dheeraj, correct. Yes. So 5, और ये सब लिखना था आपको 10 मार्क में, not more than 2 pages.
Yes, yes,
It's another
yes.
challenge. इस पे हम लोग का क्वेश्चन है, the merits and demerits of Malthusian theory, as a model answer. Okay, we would have given it to you. Okay, let's move on. Discuss the different types of polarization induced spatial inequalities and imbalances associated with growth poles. I think this again is a tricky question.
It is, sir. It is.
Different types of polarization, okay, and how that induces inequalities. This was the point.
Yes,
Types
sir.
of polarization are, number one, okay, industrial agglomerations are one type of polarization. Okay. Development of transport hubs, कि वहीं पर पोर्ट है, वहीं पर रेलवेज हैं, वहीं पर एयरपोर्ट्स हैं, is one type of polarization, whereas
Yes.
other areas do not have connectivity. So industrial agglomeration is one type of polarization. Okay, concentration of transport hubs is one type of polarization.
Right.
Urban agglomerations are also one type of polarization, where some centers become urban areas and there's a huge difference between urban and rural and suburban areas. So this was an issue. Okay, a fourth type of polarization, it will be polarization as a consequence of specializations. Some areas specialize as IT sector. Some areas specialize as petrochemical centers.
Yes.
Some areas specialize as agriculture marketing centers. And this creates imbalances, inequalities, because the holistic development possible nahi ho pata hai. One area is not able to develop in all possible ways. The consequence is some areas might have more concentration of industrial workers.
Yes.
Some areas might have more concentration of service functions, but maybe manufacturing are missing. That's an example of an imbalance.
Yes.
Okay, so growth poles generally are growth poles because they specialize in certain type of functions. So this was that question. So most of them I see, yes, absolutely. Some of them become administrative centers, okay, and they lack production units. Correct. Yes.
Sir, in this we could
Exactly,
have
Rashid.
also included an important aspect that the development stage of the country is also a very important factor that leads to polarization.
Yeah.
Because in the developing countries, sir, the government always has the capitalistic outlook and it is only investing in certain regions, whereas the other regions are still underdeveloped.
Yes.
Looking to their own ROI.
Yeah, so deliberate imbalance inducement.
Yes, inducement.
Because we focus on some centers and then we polarize it.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Intra-regional, intra-state polarizations.
Yes.
Okay.
Like in India, we could have given an example that Delhi, Mumbai, and Bengaluru are the centers on which the government focuses a lot.
Yes.
Whereas regions like Bihar and Jharkhand, etc., have been completely neglected by the government. So this can be another discussion that we could have included in this.
Yes, absolutely. So okay, so 5E I think was also tricky. So
it was
section A ke comparison mein section B I think was tricky questions because the type of phrasing that they have. Okay, let's move on. 5 question is done. 5th one is done. Question number 6. 6A. Problems and prospects of urban expansion in the context of urban fringe in developed and developing countries.
Yes.
मुझे लगता है ये स्टेट क्वेश्चन है. Developed countries, urban expansion, the suburban development, the planned expansions जो होते हैं, developing countries में urban sprawl, okay, and the problems of encroachments and land use. So I think ये state question था. Nothing much to add here. Okay, developed countries will have more planned land acquisition and planned expansion. The suburban sectoral development, you have the whole range of discussions there. So 6A, nothing much to add here. 6B, and I'm very happy, Purv sir, this question was almost straight from our answer banks.
Okay.
How how is the gender angle a very important aspect of human
Human
development.
development. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
gender angle का 4-5 component है. एक
जी,
तो
जी, जी.
gender, because they make up 50 to 75% of a country's population if we include
Ab-
children. There is
Absolutely.
an ethical
Absolutely.
aspect that why we gender must be developed.
Yes.
Second, without gender development, it is not possible to have the economic growth, because gender women are very important part of the productive labor.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely, sir.
lot of health issues are related to gender. Okay, malnutrition,
Yes.
infections, high
More.
IMR, okay,
More. Yes.
problems
Yes.
related to care economy. Okay, so
Yes.
without gender, those elements of human development will get compromised.
Yes. Yes.
और human development का एक और important component है, okay, decision and participative process of democracy. So
Yes.
without
Absolutely,
gender
sir.
aspect, even that component of human development. So we must expand human development into economic aspects, education aspects, political aspects. Okay, you
Yes,
can
sir.
also add how gender dimension is important part of grassroots development also.
Absolutely,
Okay,
sir.
खासकर
Absolutely.
when we talk in terms of out migrations and
Yes.
feminization of poverty, feminization of agriculture, वहां पर भी important हो जाता gender. There's a good
Right.
essay
Right.
type of answer we can write here.
It is. It is, sir. It is, sir. It is.
And the commonly used gender indices. Now, this could have been a trap.
Yes.
Gender empowerment index, okay, gender development
And
index,
index.
even multi-dimensional, okay, poverty index, वो भी gender वाला ही है.
Right. Right.
Okay, we
Right, sir.
also have gender-based political empowerment index.
Right.
So some given by HDR, some given by World Bank, okay, economic forums. So दो तीन मिल के आते, that would have been good enough. Okay, so the most common is gender development index, gender empowerment index, GDI, and GEI. ये सबसे तो common है. And plus we also have gender political empowerment index. How many percentage of women are represented in the political systems? Yes. So ये तीन main indices हैं. Okay. Yes, agreed, Vishal. We could have added women labor force participation rate also. Absolutely. So while discussing equity and human development, we could have added this dimension that gender empowerment is a very important part of demographic dividend. Okay, a very important part of demographic dividend. Okay, so that was question number 6B. Let's move on towards question 6C. 6C, population, resource use, and development nexus in limits to growth. Like, what is the relationship between the three? And why has this model been criticized? Okay, so limits to growth has 5 parameters: population, food, pollution, industries, and fossil fuel. So in limits to growth, when we say resource use, we talk about two resources mainly: land resource and fossil fuel resource. When we say development, we only mean increase in economic size and population in terms of growth. So यही relationship है. Okay. And why it's criticized, I think it's a straight question again. But development is defined narrowly. Limits to growth does not talk about innovations. A limits to growth, it does not talk about the prospect of new resources being discovered. I think most of us have studied this in some way or the other. Okay, so question number 6C. The pehla part was a tricky part. The relationship of population, resource use, and development index. So these three relationship, okay, that was an interesting dimension. Okay, so we're done with question number 6 now. Let's move on towards next question. Question number 7. 7 ka A also is a straight question. Nothing
Very
to
straight,
talk
sir.
about. Okay, what is Losch's model? And discuss its merits and demerits. Losch model का 3 main criticism है. One is that Losch model, okay, is more around again elements of isotropic surface.
Yes,
It
yes,
is a
yes.
typical example of quantitative revolution that does not acknowledge the role. So एक है isotropic surface, सब कुछ flat है, even है. One. Number two is, it's an example of QR model again. It ignores human cognition, human thinking. These are all P behavioral models.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
And the third criticism of Losch's model is that it does not talk about the current, the more relevant models of urban expansion and urban development, which
Yes.
is around services, not the traditional types. और ये लॉश का ही नहीं है, सीपीटी का मॉडल है कि none of them could include the concept of digital economy as a part of their models. वो possible नहीं था, they could not have foreseen it.
Right, right, right.
So
sir.
while Losch model का merits है, it talks about revenue maximization, it talks about manufacturing industries, it talks about more than 150 K values, it talks about bottom up approach, वो तो आप लिख देंगे. जो
जी, जी,
क्रिटिसिज्म
जी.
वाला पार्ट है, ये तीन है. Isotropic. Number two, it ignores the role of thinking, perceive, man, pre-behavioral model है. And number three, digital. इसके अलावा
Right.
आप 2 पॉइंट और ऐड कर सकते हो. Losch model, okay, is encouraging of agglomeration. It says monopolies are good. Okay, it
Right, sir.
says
Right,
monopolies are cost efficient.
right, right,
So
right.
Losch model is also a typical economic model. It does not talk about social aspects of
Right,
urban planning. It does not talk about environmental aspects of urban planning. It does not talk about the security elements of urban planning.
right,
A very traditional model, entirely based on economics of profits and loss.
right, right,
So that
right. sir.
was the main conversation in 7A. 7B, how can sustainable land management harmonize complementary goals of environmental, we have got some spelling mistake here, goals of environmental, economic, and social opportunities. So basically, land management, how is it related to environment, land management, economic, and social opportunities? तो इकोनॉमिक ना सोशल का एंगल एनवायरनमेंट के साथ भी इकोनॉमिक के साथ भी है. सो लैंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ 4 यूज आप बता सकते हो. लैंड मैनेजमेंट एज एग्रीकल्चर लैंड, land management as urban land management as forest land. Okay. And the fourth is land management in terms of dealing with climate change issues,
Right, right, right.
desertification, rest. So अगर आपने ये चार उठा लिया component कि how does sustainable agriculture management helps environment, economic, social, how urban land management impacts environment, economic, social, how forest land management impacts and desertification, and end the answer towards land degradation neutrality.
Right.
We have the concept of 30-30 by 2030. Talk about reclaiming land from desertification. ये आप बहुत current discussion करा सकते थे.
Right, right.
Okay. Sustainable land management, agriculture में you could have taken it towards Kisan health card and the rest. And lot of focus on sustainable land management also includes land ownership, land reforms, equity aspects in terms of opportunities, small farmers,
Right.
middle farmers. Okay, so ये वाला I think was a very interesting question. Question number 7B. Okay, Yapur sir, 7C. The stages of demographic transition are a reflection of uneven economic development across the globe. Explain examples, please.
Sir, demographic transition is one of my favorite topics in geography.
Oh, wow.
And basically what happens is that when we are, talking about demographic transition, we explain the stages and then we tell that which are the socio-economic factors which are responsible for these stages. But I think this question is other way around. They are not asking us about how economic development is a reflection of the stages. It is asking how the stages are a reflection of the economic development.
A lack of development for that matter.
Yes, lack of development for that matter. So in this question, sir, what I feel is that we can, describe that how demographic, scenarios are basically reflecting the socio-economic condition of the country. Like if we are explaining stage one, we can say that high birth rates and high death rates are both, showing that people have low income levels and they are also not able to afford medical services. So basically in this, sir, it's a very, interesting question to put forward. But what I feel is that we could have written all the things the other way around as to how the demographic transition or the demographic indicators of birth rate and death rate are actually indicators of economic indices in a region also. So up till now, we were saying how economic indices are actually indicators of demographic indices. But now we need to say how demographic indices are actually indicators of economic indices. And in this, sir, one very important thing is that in recent times, we have seen that there have been, even regressions that have been observed in demographic transition theory. Like, for example, if we talk about Afghanistan, due to the prevailing conditions in Afghanistan, we can say that Afghanistan has moved from stage 2 to stage 1. So now this can be, an example. If Afghanistan has moved from stage 2 to stage 1, this is actually an example of economic regression apart from economic development.
Yeah.
And similarly, sir, we can say that, one very important aspect of demographic transition is that not every country is taking the same amount of time in a certain stage. Like many experts believe that India has been stuck in stage 2 for quite a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
So if India has been stuck in a stage 2 for quite a long time, this means that somewhere our government policies and socio-economic perspectives of the nation are not aligned with respect to the social development and the economic development that is taking place. Sir, one very important thing I have observed in this question is they have only given the word development. So we cannot say it is only about economic development. It can also be about social development. So they have considered development as a whole. अगर इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट होता तो थोड़ा शायद ज्यादा आसान होता है इस क्वेश्चन को आंसर देना. बट व्हाट आई फील इज कि इसमें सर हमें यही करना पड़ेगा, मतलब मेरा ये सर ओपिनियन है, प्लीज करेक्ट मी, कि फर्स्ट वी विल से दैट डेमोग्राफिक इंडिसेस आर अ रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट, एंड देन वी विल गिव एग्जांपल्स एज टू हाउ that when there has been extraordinary examples in demographic transition theory, like related with Afghanistan, like related with Syria, and like related with India, that how these examples actually portray that there is some economic problem within the country.
So the stages are not simply a function of, you can say, are not simply a function of
Time, firstly, sir.
Time, okay.
Yes.
Okay, they are a function of how the economy has developed.
How the economy has developed, how the people have their mentality, how the government is actually formulating its policies. It is a function of many things.
So demographic transition is a function of colonial exploitation.
Yes, absolutely.
Demographic transition is a function of lack of development of human skills.
Yes.
Demographic transition is a function of political neglect.
For political neglect, it is a function of, sir, education opportunities or the education infrastructure that the companies that the country is having. So there are many things that can be included in this.
So viewers, is a very interesting question. The सोच के ध्यान से सुनो आप लोग इसको. हम जब डेमोग्राफिक ट्रांजिशन बोलते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं मन में होता है कि a country from stage 1 will go towards stage 2, go towards stage 3 is almost like a natural progression.
Exactly.
Almost like a deterministic progression. वो 1 से 4 पहुंचेगा. So if you are in stage 1 means you're in early economy, and ultimately you'll be stage 4. What the question is telling us is that this transition is not really a function of time. The transition is a function of levels of development. So some societies, even if they have been old societies, बहुत दिनों से stage 1 में हैं, does not mean they will naturally move towards stage 2.
Exactly.
And those who have moved, they have moved because they have developed, not because they have become older.
Exactly, sir.
Okay. Those who have moved because they have politically changed something. The governance they have changed. Economy they have changed. तो जो change नहीं कर पाया है, वो trap हो गया है. If I give an analogy here, the progression of somebody from a child to a man, I can see this as a function of age.
Time.
Second
Yes,
is,
sir.
I can see this as a function of education and awareness. Okay, so there are societies which were developed, have now slipped back.
Yes.
Okay, there are societies which were stage 3 and 4, have now problems of development. And those who have developed, they have rapidly moved towards 2, 3, Southeast Asia ho gaya, China ho gaya.
Yes.
Even India is moving very rapidly towards,
Yes.
3, partly towards 4.
Yes, sir.
So this is a tricky question.
And
it's
sir,
not a simple question. Yes, please, Apur.
Sir, one thing more we can do is, if we have that, liberty of doing this, we can also, criticize the Rostov's model in this question. Because
Yeah.
Rostov and demographic transition are actually linked with each other. And Rostov also says that development is a function of time only.
Yeah, धीरे-धीरे आप stage 1, stage 5 पहुंच जाएंगे.
Yes. So basically, we can say that and again, when they are talking about suitable examples, we can give examples like wars. We can even give examples like the pandemic, COVID, etc., which have actually taken back the nations from the level of development that they were having previously.
Yeah, this can actually be an interesting one.
It is an interesting one, sir. It is an interesting one, actually.
Yeah, online students, I hope you all can appreciate the conversation here. What we're trying to hint, what we're trying to focus on. I know it's been more than an hour now, but I hope you can all appreciate the nuances in this question. Hi, Gaurav, Anmol. Okay. And if you like the conversations, please recommend our institute, recommend the videos, like, share, subscribe kare button ko. So I hope you can see the nuances in the questions and not mechanically writing just because of asked demographic transition आप लिख के आ जाओ.
सर ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट सोच रहे हैं सर लोग आपस में बात कर रहे हैं, हम तो इस क्वेश्चन को छोड़ ही देते हैं.
Okay, let's move on. And guys, give me some time. We will collate all the model answers on these and we'll give it to you. Okay, हम QR code बनाकर आपको पकड़ा देंगे. Okay, so I'm sure. And if you like it, please tell your friends. Okay, how unique Edukemy is in terms of its approach. Okay, I personally think that this is a very different discussion than what you would have thought the answers are. Okay, let's move on. The last question, ABC 8. Question number 8A. Rural settlements are expressions of basic relationship between human beings and their physical and social environment. Okay, rural settlements are expression of the relationship of human beings and their physical and social environment. This question, कह तो रहा है rural settlements, but this can apply to any settlements. कोई भी settlement है, whether rural or urban, it's always a consequence of how people relate to their environment. In fact, rural settlements are an element of cultural landscape. Rural settlements are manifestations of man-environment relationship. Rural settlements are a manifestation of our land use practices mediated through our culture. Any settlement study has an element of understanding how a man adjusts to the environment, how a man modifies the environment. Okay, so yes, ये आपका पहला discussion हो जाएगा. The settlements are an expression of relationship, okay, of human beings with the physical and social environment. और दिखता कैसे है? So there are 5 elements of rural settlements. One is the site. Where are we locating it? Near the water, near the river, okay, near a tank, along the coast. That tells us how our culture are able to modify their agglomerations around certain areas of advantage. So in terms of site, yes. Number 2, how land is used and what type of crops are grown. Okay, so agriculture is a very good example of man's relationship of physical and agriculture decides also to large extent our elements related to farming practices, types of agriculture fields, methods of irrigation. So yes, fourth, we can see the relationship in terms of architecture, type of houses, the type of construction, the type of material used, the type of adjustments to floods and droughts. So yes, so, and the fourth is they express the relationship also in terms of how the rural areas may have cultural and social segregations.
Right.
Okay, so if a farmer, he will live somewhere. If he's a fisherman, he lives elsewhere. If he is an agricultural labor and maybe disadvantaged caste, he lives somewhere else. Okay, so how we own the land and who owns the land for what purpose, even that's a point of social environment.
Right.
So rural settlements are expression of basic relationship of human beings with the physical environment के ये 4-5 component discussion.
Right.
The type of land use, the ownership of land use, the type of architecture, the type of crops, okay, that we have, the housing that we have, the siting factors, and you can extend it that these relationships keep on changing, and this relationship change दिखता है in the rural urban fringe. When the settlements come under the urban influence, how the relationship changes, the type of crops will change, the type of land use patterns will change, the type of architecture will change, the type of material use will be changed. So क्या स्वरूप ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, क्या ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, एक वर्ड गिरा देते हो बस. इससे अच्छा था हटा के आप सलमान खान लिख देते, तब भी मैं कुछ ऐड कर देता इसमें. He is also a farmer in some ways. Okay, question समझो, don't just randomly say something. Okay, how does a settlement tell us the relationship of human beings, their land use, their ownership with physical and social environment? Okay, so anyways, that's question number 8A. Okay, I hope you have taken down some points. 8B, approved, sir, please discuss the concept.
I guess this was a relatively straightforward question where we had to first, explain the concept what a planning region is. It is basically a territory where, economic decisions can be applied very freely to give economic development. And said, but even I wanted to ask you this, even I was confused about the environmental and the economic factors that they have asked with respect to the creation of such regions. So, sir, sir, please give me some, even give me some tips related to this thing, that what are the things that we can, write in this.
Planning region के 5 elements हैं.
Right, sir, right.
One is, a planning region is integrated economically within.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's one. And this economic integration is a consequence of economic factors.
Yes, 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 yes.
Every planning region के जो resources base है, वो environment से related है.
जी.
Okay. Every planning region also has a territorial integrity.
Yes,
that may be defined by environmental factors.
Yes.
The hill region is a planning region. The plain region is a planning region.
Right.
Okay, the coastal region becomes a planning region.
Right.
The environment decides the character of the planning region,
Yes, the physical
The
factors decide the
environment
planning. Yes.
decides the resource of the planning region.
Yes, 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 yes.
The environment decides the vulnerability to disaster of a planning region.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And environment also decides whether you will have connectivity or isolation, or you will have some kind of functional linkage or not.
Right,
जो
right,
इकोनॉमिक
right.
रिलेशनशिप है वो भी इन्वायरमेंट से, कहीं माउंटेन्स आ गया, कहीं रिवर आ
जी
गया.
जी जी हाँ हाँ.
And economic factors in terms of we say planning region का, good planning region की 4-5 properties हैं.
जी जी
It
जी
must
जी
be
sir, हाँ.
financially viable.
Yes,
A
yes,
planning region must have a vertical, okay, unity.
yes,
A
yes.
planning region must have, okay, environmental, okay, sustainability.
Right, right, right.
If I pick up the elements of what makes a good planning region, then we can quickly relate how environment economic factors are very important aspects of. because अगर आपने planning region में environment economic factor ignore कर दिया, the
Right, sir,
planning
right.
region will no longer be cohesive.
Yes,
The planning
yes,
region will no longer be integrated.
yes.
Okay. So ये discussion उस line में था.
So sir,
I
basically
think
हमें
it was a
planning
tricky
region की
question. Yeah.
हमें बेसिकली प्लानिंग रीजन की जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स थे उनको कंसिडर करके फिर फैक्टर्स को कंसिडर करना था, दैट व्हाट फैक्टर्स विल मेक a good planning region with respect to the characteristics of an ideal planning region.
Correct, correct.
Yes, yes,
There are
yes,
7
yes.
characteristics
Makes
of a
sense,
good
sir.
planning region.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that
yes,
would have then linked to the environment economic
yes,
factors.
yes. So sir, I must like this was an example. I must also tell my viewers, sir, I learn a lot from you as well.
No,
I
no,
know
it's
very
it's
less.
always mutual.
Yes, sir,
It's
it's
always
always a
mutual.
learning experience. Like I was also confused in this question, so you enlightened me that as to how this question could have been approached. So this was wonderful, sir. Wonderful.
Actually, होता क्या है that students should move from mechanical notes making and point generation towards thinking on the questions.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, वो एक ठहराव चाहिए. You need to have that stability, that sense of equanimity, that sense of
Yes,
control.
yes,
ताकि आप
absolutely, sir.
क्वेश्चन टॉपिक्स को आप अप्लाई कर पाओ. So
Right.
think on the questions. And
Yes,
if you can learn how to dissect the structure of an answer,
yes.
ये आंसर को वो 5 एरिया में तोड़ा कैसे जाए. Like this question, एक पार्ट है, what are the
Planning regions.
elements of a good planning region?
Planning region, yes.
Okay. Second part is each element को link करो, how it is related to environmental factors, how it is related to economic
To
factors.
economic factors, yes, yes.
Third, for each of these, try giving some examples.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, if you say one reason why Northeast as a planning region has not succeeded
Yes,
is
absolutely,
because
sir.
okay, we don't understand the diversity of the environment and the economic
Yes,
factors of Northeast.
yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
why the planning region called Western Ghats not succeeded?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
we are not acknowledged the diversity of economic factors. Okay, tribes
yes.
भी हैं, agriculture भी है, ports भी है.
Absolutely, sir.
To put everything into one area called Western Ghats will not work.
Exactly.
Okay, and why to some extent NCR planning has succeeded?
You succeeded. Yes.
Because there is a
Yes.
uniformity of environment
Yes.
aspects, uniformity of integration of economic factors.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so with examples अगर आप apply कर पाओ, okay, then your answer gets smarter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, the last question. Okay, boundaries and frontiers. Straight question है. What are
बहुत सही था,
boundaries?
sir.
What are frontiers? Explain the difference and the relationship.
Yes.
I think different meanings in geographical literature का मतलब है, tell us what are boundaries, tell us what are frontiers, how are they different, and examples.
Yes.
ये भी हमारा
Absolutely.
इस बार we are discussed as a part of the MSP program also.
Okay.
So all of you, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Apoorv sir.
Thank
And
you, sir.
all of
Pleasure,
you
sir.
must join
Pleasure.
us tomorrow also at 8 p.m. We'll have
For
paper 2
2
discussion.
question.
Okay, आज paper 1 discussion हो गया. And I'll recommend you all should write answers on this. Okay, maybe discuss, and we will give you our answers also. Give us maybe a week or 10 days time.
Yes.
We will frame these answers and we'll give it to you for consideration.
Yes.
So thank you all. You all sat through
Thank you,
almost
everybody.
more than 1 hour.
Yes,
It was
sir.
lovely
Almost 2 hours this
discussion.
RTS, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Pooch, sir. It's a tiring
Thank you
day
so
for
much,
you
sir.
too.
Thank
But I
you
think we
so much,
all
sir.
wait
Thank you.
for this day every year.
Every year,
Mains ka
sir.
paper
Yes,
aayega.
absolutely,
Personally,
sir.
I'm very
Absolutely.
happy with the question paper. जो थोड़ा बहुत ढंग से पढ़ा है, subject समझा है, you can score very good marks in this.
Yes,
But
yes,
there are
yes,
thinking
absolutely.
questions. It is not tough questions, but it is definitely forcing thinking. Okay, problem tha na that we either know or do not know. In these type of questions, you cannot say do not know.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
Okay,
sir.
it's like all the balls are very good, not any random white ball nahi hai. Okay, they force you to play and then you make a mistake.
Yes,
Yes, the
yes.
pleasure is all ours. Prasanna, Dheeraj, Anmol, Vishal, Acer, Sachin, Karan, Karthik. Okay, thank you so much, all of you, for joining in. Frank, Hussein also, Swaroop. So please join us tomorrow also at 8 p.m. We'll discuss paper 2. Okay, bye all of you. Good
Okay,
night. Thank
thank
you,
you,
sir.
everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you, everybody. Thank you so much.